Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be taking an in-depth look at our 2025 Clemson Tigers football team. We're going to completely break this team down, look at the roster, see who they added, who they lost from last season's team, but we're going to be trying to predict the outcome, what their final record might be for the 2025 season. This team is coming in with a lot of hype, a lot of praise. A lot of Clemson fans are really excited for the final product that's going to be on the field in the 2025 season. We're going to go game by game and try to break them all down, but mainly what we're going to be doing is we're going to look at the early season Vegas bets. So who Vegas, as of right now, is saying is going to win and lose every single game. I'm not saying that they're going to win it or lose it. We're going to be going by what Vegas is saying as of right now, but there's a lot of information for us to go over. First things first, though, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, do you agree, disagree, drop it below, and I'm going to make sure to respond to every single one of them. We have all of the college football offseason news going on. We have baseball games going on. We have the NFL draft just happened. Keep up with us the entire offseason, and we can't wait for when the regular season starts because we go over every game every single week, breaking down the money lines, the best bets, the over-unders, spreads, looking at everything. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to join one of our member links, look in the chat below. I have the pinned comment down there, and we would definitely appreciate that. You'll see that we do have the schedule there up on the screen. We have all 12 of the regular season games. We have it broken down which games are going to be on the road, which games are going to be at home. But first, we have to look at the Clemson offseason. Obviously, this is going to be one of the better coaching staffs in baseball. Dabo Swinney, he has put together a top 12 overall roster in all of college sports. They've been recruiting well. He's even been working the portal for once this offseason. He didn't bring in very many players, but he brought in players in positions that Clemson was lacking at. Right now, Dabo, 2 national championships. You have Garrett Riley. Year 2 under Garrett Riley, this offense took massive steps going forward. Look for them to continue to make even greater strides going into year 3, running the ball, passing the ball. They're definitely going to have a top 20 offense evenly, especially with Cade Klubnik back, slinging the ball up and down the field. And they're bringing in Tom Allen. That was a big news this offseason. They stole him away. He's going to have a top 10 defense everywhere he goes. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to tackle well. But the main thing that they're going to live by is getting in the backfield, creating havoc, tackles for a loss, quarterback pressures, sacks. Clemson's going to be in top 10 in a lot of defensive categories for the 2025 season. Looking at this roster here, obviously you have Cade Klubnik. He's one of the early season favorites for the Heisman. This guy did really good last season. He's obviously going to have, to me, a 400 to 4,500 yard passing season this season, 30 to 35 touchdowns, 5 to 10 picks, and he's probably going to run for another 600 to 700 yards. He's going to cement himself. If you don't know who he is, you're going to know who he is at the end of the 25-26 season. He's going to have a lot of Heisman hype. He's going to have a lot of NFL hype going into that 26 draft as of right now. Looking at the wide receivers, there's a lot of depth there. For once, Clemson's been lacking in that wide receiver core for several years, basically since their national championship. They have Moore, Turner, Wesco, Smith, Brown, Williams, and a running back. Obviously, Maffa was tearing things up last season, but this year they're going to have Davidson, they're going to have Adams, they're going to be deep at the running back position. Clemson wants to lean on that run. They want to open up the play action. They're going to beat you vertically. They're going to spread things out. This is a very multiple offense, and it's also what they can complement the offense with their newfound defensive coordinator. Clemson was not the defense of old last season. Usually they have a top 10, top 20 defense. Last season they were in the top 50. That's not going to cut it here, but there's a lot of hype here. They come into this season, as of right now, Vegas predicts them to win 9.5 games. That's enough to make it to the ACC championship. They won the ACC in a down year last year, made the playoffs. They are favored to win the ACC again this year. It's going to be a really fun year. But let's start looking at this schedule. You'll see there on the screen we have red stars for games that Vegas predicts they're going to lose. Yellow stars for games that Vegas predicts are going to be toss-ups, like I mentioned earlier. Not saying they're going to win it, not saying they're going to lose it. It's just Vegas is saying as of right now it's a 50-50 split. It could go either way. And then the blue one is the ones that early season Vegas predicts them to win. Let's start running through this schedule. This schedule to me is a lot more difficult than it was last year, mainly because a lot of these teams are going to be in a better place than they were last year. They kick things off Saturday, August 30th. The first game right out the gate, an out-of-conference SEC versus ACC matchup. This is going to be one of the biggest games of the opening weekend. They're going to be going up against number 8 LSU. LSU, a lot of hype for LSU. They obviously have a top 10 overall roster as well. They have Garrett Nussmeier coming back as the quarterback. This guy's going to throw for 4,500 yards this season. They're going to be slinging the ball up and down the field. They also have one of the better coaches in all of college football right now. They have Brian Kelly. Yes, he hasn't won a national championship, but he's a very consistent coach with a very disciplined team. You have Blake Baker back as a defense coordinator. Year 2 under Blake Baker, this defense is going to be even better. Probably going to be a top 30, top 20 defense even. And we know LSU produces a lot of wide receivers. They're definitely going to have no issues on the offensive side. This is going to be the first true test for this new Clemson defense, but they are more than capable of stepping up to it. As of right now, Vegas has this game as a toss-up. This is going to be a challenging game for either one of these teams, but what Clemson has going for them, they are playing in Clemson, South Carolina. We know they're going to have the offense. They're going to have the defense. They have, to me, the more proven quarterback. Nussmeier is great, but Cade Klubnik and what he showed last season, if you force me to pick someone early on, I would be picking Clemson to win this game right out of the gate. But Vegas has it as a toss-up. It's going to be a fun game for us unbiased fans here. We're not necessarily fans of either one of these teams, but we like both programs. It's going to be a fun game to watch for us. Then they follow that up Saturday, September 6th versus the Troy Trojans. Obviously, no matter what happens the first game, they are going to blow Troy out of the water. It's going to be a curb stomping 50-3, 50-6 type game. But if you won that first game, this is your rebound game here. You might be a little banged up after that first game. Rest some guys here. Get the starters out after the first half. This is where you want to cool down, or maybe even if you lost it, this is where you start working on some of the things that did not work week 1, and you start polishing some of those blemishes, getting even better as you get into ACC play, because no matter what happens that first week, don't forget, as long as you win your conference, you make the final 12, you make the playoffs. That's really all you have to concentrate on. Obviously, you want to win that game, but no matter what, just win the ACC and you're in. Then the very next week, Saturday, September 13th, at the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Do not sleep on Georgia Tech. If you slept on them last season, this team very banged up last year and still very competitive. Took Georgia into, 7 or 8 overtimes the last game of the season. This team is talented. With King back at quarterback, he's a multiple quarterback. He can throw for 3,000 yards. He can run for 1,000 to 1,200 yards on the ground. They love the ground and pound. That sucks up clock, controls time of possession. This is going to be one of the first true tests for Clemson's defensive front. That front 7 is going to be definitely challenged by a physical run game from Georgia Tech. But Clemson should be favored here, but you got to make sure if they win that game 1, they're going to be rolling here. If you lose game 1, you definitely do not want to take a chance of getting upset by Georgia Tech here and starting out the season 1-2. You don't want that to happen. I think Clemson's in just a fine spot. No matter what, they're going to be favored here to win this game. Then Saturday, September 20th, the Syracuse Orange. This team came out of nowhere last season. I think they won 10 games last year. Kyle McCord led the nation in passing, 4,500 passing yards, 38 passing touchdowns. They were slinging a great wide receiver core, but all those guys are gone. Yes, Brown and company, they've been recruiting, they've been working the portal, but they're not going to have the veteran squad they had last year. So Clemson, again, they're going to be favored here to win this game. This game could even potentially turn into a little bit of a shootout, but Clemson should do just enough second half. Their physicality, they should be able to dominate and win this one by 2 to 3 possessions. Then after that, Saturday, September 27th, they're going to have a bye week. They're definitely going to need it. They had 2 really good matchups, 2 potential top 25 matchups. They're going to want some rest as they get deeper into in-conference play. And then Saturday, October 4th, at the North Carolina Tar Heels. This is Bill Belichick's team. I'm sorry, guys. I've not necessarily been impressed with what Belichick's done so far. Obviously, he's the GOAT when it comes to NFL football. I don't know about the Tar Heels yet. I don't know that replacing Mac Brown with an also older Bill Belichick was necessarily the answer there. But yes, it does bring some hype to UNC, but I don't think they necessarily needed hype. This is a team, they've been perennially a top 25 team for the last decade with Mac Brown at the helm. Not last year, but they're usually very competitive. They have a lot of positions, a lot of needs they need to fill. Clemson should be able to come in here. They're going to be favored. They should be rolling. And then after that, Saturday, October 11th at the Boston College Eagles. This is another NFL coach, another Bill Belichick guy. You have Bill O'Brien here, very talented coach, very disciplined guy. You know that Boston College, they're going to start out the season really hot, they're going to start fading as we get into the second half. But this is the first half here, so you're going to be getting the best version of the Eagles here. They're going to be physical. They're going to run. They're going to play solid defense. They're going to suck up clock. This is going to be a ground and pound college football team. But to me, Clemson's best thing on their defense under Allen is going to be that defensive front. They're going to eat you alive. They're going to force Boston College into third and long situations, force them to throw the ball. That definitely plays into the hands of Clemson. They'll be favored here. Then after that, Saturday, October 18th, the SMU Mustangs coming to Clemson. That's a big factor here, but you have to respect SMU. Yes, Clemson beat them in the ACC championship last season. A very close game, but you have to respect Rhett Lashley. You have to respect Jennings. You have to respect what they did last year. They're going to lose a lot of pieces here, but this team's been working the portal hard. They've been stealing a lot of players from really good schools. They're going to have a good offense. They're going to have a talented defense. Clemson's probably going to come into this game as a slight favorite here. They definitely should be favored, and they're at home. But it's the unknown. Can SMU replicate the success they had last season, year 2 in the ACC? That's why it's listed as a 50-50 matchup. I am picking Clemson to win this game as of right now. Do not attack it in the comments. It's just SMU was a top 10, top 15 team last year, so you have to respect them, and they do have the ability to compete and even beat Clemson. But obviously, we know Clemson is a lot more talented team, especially roster depth-wise. Clemson's going to be favored here, but it's close enough to just call a toss-up preseason as of right now. Once we get closer to this week, I do think Clemson is going to be the Vegas favorite. Then after that, Saturday, October 25th, we're going to have another bye week. And then November 1st, we have the Duke Blue Devils. This is Manny Diaz's team. This team's going to be aggressive on defense. They have the new quarterback that just transferred over from Tulane. He's going to be throwing it. He's going to be running it. They're going to have an adaptable offense. They're going to be able to beat you multiple ways. This is a team that won 9 games last season. No one was talking about them. A very talented team, especially year 1 under Diaz. Made a lot of changes. They're going to be really competitive here, but Clemson should have enough talent to where, again, they should be able to own the second half of this game, and they are easily going to be the favorite team here. Don't sleep on Duke, but you should be capable of beating him. And then after that, Saturday, November 8th, the Florida State Seminoles. Clemson's going to be favored here, but one thing about Florida State, this is not going to be the atrocious Seminoles team that you saw last season, the one that won 2 to 3 games last season. They're going to have a new quarterback, Castellanos. He's not good enough to me to beat Clemson, but you know that Florida State is still roster-wise, talent-wise, a top 20 roster in all of college football. You got to respect that. Norvell, good coach. They're going to have a better offense. They're going to have Gus Malzahn calling plays. They're going to have a far more aggressive defense. It's going to look like that Nebraska defense. They're going to be big. They're going to be fast. They're going to stack the line of scrimmage, try to force Clemson into throwing situations. But this isn't the Clemson team of 4 years ago. This team can actually beat you vertically, pushing the ball down the field. Clemson will be favored here as well. And then Friday, November 14th, this is a game you never want to sleep on. Clemson has learned that in the past. You're going to be at number 20 Louisville Cardinals. A very talented team. They have the quarterback coming over from USC. He's going to be slinging the ball up and down the field. They showed with the production that they've had the last 2 seasons, 2 transfer quarterbacks, both have produced under this offense. Braun, one of the best offensive minds in college sports because he adapts his play calling to the skills of the playmakers on his roster. That's what he's going to do here. They're going to be pushing the ball down the field. They're going to be aggressive on offense. Defense is going to have some question marks here, but the offense will at least be good enough to compete with Clemson, maybe even through 3 quarters, but Clemson should be able to pull away at the very end. I do think this game is actually going to be a very close one. Louisville, 8 or 9 win team, potentially finishing the season as a top 25 team, but Clemson will be favored and will have just enough firepower to pull it off and avoid the upset. And then after that, you need an easy game. You need a cupcake game at this point. You're going to have the Furman Paladins Saturday, November 22nd. There's not much to say here. Clemson's going to blow this team out of the water. And that's exactly what you need out of that really aggressive previous game versus the Cardinals. You want a cupcake game. You've definitely earned it. And then after that, Saturday, November 29th, at the South Carolina Gamecocks. We know this is a toss-up. This is a team, top 15 team last season, coming in with a lot of hype coming out of the SEC. This team's going to be aggressive here. They're going to have an offense. They're going to have a mobile quarterback. Sellers is even coming in with some potential Heisman hype here. This team is young, but they are returning about 54% of their production from last season. A lot of people thought this team should have gotten into the playoffs last season. They didn't. Lost their bowl game, but now everyone has their eye on them. How does Beamer and company respond? You're not sneaking up on anyone this season. And now everyone is expecting you to do well. Can they live up to that hype? South Carolina, with their playmakers, they are very top heavy. They have really good playmakers. The roster doesn't have the depth that Clemson does, but that very top crop of players is really good. They can technically compete with anyone in the nation, but their depth is going to be challenged here. This is the last game of the season. What is it looking like for injuries? There's a lot of unknowns here. Are both teams healthy? Are both quarterbacks healthy? How does the defenses look so far? But no matter what, this is going to be a very physical game. This game is going to be decided at the line of scrimmage in the trenches. It's going to be a trench warfare type of game. Clemson has the talent to win this one. The Gamecocks have the talent to win this one. And don't forget, this team potentially could be deciding on final record. If Clemson doesn't win the ACC, this is the win they need to pad their schedule for wins to still make a case to make that final 12 to make the playoffs. And just like last season, that could be the same case for the Gamecocks. They could be sitting at 9 wins. Clemson could be sitting at 9 wins, and they both need this win to get to 10-2. Finishing the season 10-2 for either one of these teams is no doubt probably going to put them in the playoffs. As of right now, this game's a toss-up. We'll just have to wait to see what the rosters look like once we actually get to that final week of college football. You will notice on this schedule, I don't have any red starts. I don't have any games that as of right now, Vegas is actually favoring or deciding that Clemson is going to be the underdog in. Clemson is good enough to actually go 12-0. I don't think they'll go 12-0. I do think they will make the playoffs. They will make the ACC championship. Personally, I think they'll be playing Miami, but we'll just have to wait and see. No matter what, Clemson to me is a playoff team. It's just how good is their record going to be. At least, worst case scenario, if you lose all the toss-ups, you're still 9-3, can still make the ACC championship just like last season, win that, and you're in no matter what, it doesn't matter. But I think they'll at least win 1 or 2 of those toss-up games. You just have to avoid the upset. Guys, that's our picks and predictions for the 2025 Clemson schedule for our final schedule prediction. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below, and I will respond. If you want to sign up for our member links, just look at the link pinned down in the comments. Thanks for watching.